everyone, welcome back to another episode of Yarn Talks with Lizzy Knits. I'm Erin Gates from Lizzy Knits and Three Birds Yarn Studio. Today I want to do things a little differently. I'm going to show you a tutorial, and we're just one topic today for this episode, but I think this is a really important skill and very, very helpful. This is cable knitting without using a cable needle. So this is great if you have prior experience with cable knitting and you want to try this new technique. I think it's so nice to, for one, not keep track of a third cable needle. Also, it really speeds up your projects. Like, it goes so much quicker. So I think it's very beneficial. I remember when I learned how to do this, like, it really was a game changer. Like, my knitting went so much quicker, and it was less stressful too. So I'm going to, I'll pan down and I have some materials here. The main thing, and I'm going to break this down as best I can. When you are used to cable knitting with a cable needle, you approach the stitch combo differently than you would without a cable needle. So we're just gonna start, but I want to first start off explaining the difference in how you approach the knitting combo. Okay, let me get set up and we'll get started. Okay, I've got a few materials here for this tutorial. I'll show you a few, I'll show you demonstrations of cable crosses right here, and then this is just a little example of a previous swatch I've made showing the difference between a right cable cross and a left cable cross. And I believe these are 3 over 3, so this is worked over 6 stitches. A right cable cross is where the stitches that are in the front are crossing over in the right direction. So a left cable cross is the group of stitches that are in the front are crossing over in a left direction. All right, we'll show you this later. Here's my little swatch, and these stitches are a little bigger than those. So I'm going to, for these tutorials, let's work with 2 over 2 cable crosses for this example. So 2 over 2, and at first I'm going to show you right leaning crosses. So that would be RC. We're doing 2 over 2 RC, which stands for right cross. And this is how I note cable crosses in my patterns. If you are used to, now there are several ways to abbreviate cable crosses, but this technique is going to be the same. It's just sometimes the abbreviations, there's different methods of wording it. Okay, so let's get to, actually, let me get into this swatch a little bit. Just give me a sec. Okay, good enough. All right, so here we go. 2 over 2 means 2 stitches are crossing over 2 stitches. So this combo is a total of 4 stitches. And when you would be doing a right cross means that the stitches in front, I'm trying here, just look between my fingers. The stitches in front, like I showed you here, are crossing in the right direction. So that would mean that these second 2 stitches are going to go in front of these first 2 stitches. And now here is where the difference comes into play of using a cable needle versus not. If I was using a cable needle, and this is just a DPN, also efficient, what I would do with using a cable needle, you are dealing with the first half of your stitches. So that would mean you slip the first half of your stitches, and they are either going to be dropping to the back of your work or it is dropping to the front of your work. If I dropped these stitches to the back of my work and then I started knitting the second group of stitches, that's going to give me a right cross. Oops, I'm all sort of tangled here. I'll show you. Yeah. Okay, then you work the second group Okay, so that I've worked 2 stitches already. And now we go back and knit the ones that were on the cable needle. So that would give me a nice little cross in the front in the right leaning direction. Okay, but we don't want to use the cable needle. Let's start this over. Let's try it without, but it's not going to work the exact same way. Let me just put these back on. All right, so again, let's set up. We're working over 4 stitches. And now to get a right cross, these 2 stitches need to cross in front of these 2 stitches. When you're doing this without a cable needle, instead of figuring out if the first half of stitches go to the front or the back, we are going to jump straight to the second half of stitches. This is the key difference. Okay, let me say that again. If you were using a cable needle, I would figure out the first group of stitches if they are going to get held in the front or the back. But now we're not using a third needle at all. I know, excuse me if I'm being redundant, I'm trying to go slow. I know that this second group of stitches need to cross in front. So I'm going to grab those 2 stitches from the front and put them on my right needle. Okay, it looks a little something like this. Okay, we want to deal with what the second group of stitches is going to do. Okay, those are in the front. They're kind of anchored on the right needle now, and I want to pull my needle out of all 4. Okay, this is not as scary as it looks, I promise. Your stitches aren't going to start just unraveling. That sounds weird. Okay, I'm grabbing, then I put the left needle. These are kind of just floating. And I anchor them back onto the left needle. And we're doing the cross on its own before we knit anything. And then these front stitches go in the back. So you can see that they are already crossed over each other, and I can knit across all 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that is it. Okay, we're going to go over this again. Okay, 2 over 2 cable cross in the right direction. So first thing we do we're figuring out without using a cable needle, what is the second group of stitches? Because we're doing two sets of 2 here. What is that second set of stitches doing? It's going to we want it to cross in front of these because it will be then leaning to the right. Right leaning crosses, the back set of stitches go in the front. So I'll grab those 2 because I'm going to bring them in the front. I want to take my needle out of all 4. Then I'll grab those free floating stitches 1 and 2. I'll put them on the left needle. Now they're in the back. Maybe I'll put them on my left needle. Cross, and then put the original 2 stitches, we'll call them stitch 3 and 4, back on the left needle. It's crossed already. And we're leaning the stitches 3 and 4 went in front of stitches 1 and 2. This is going to take a little bit of time to get used to. It took me a little time just to kind of wrap my head around it and also get used to approaching it differently, mentally approaching it differently. We want those stitches in the front. I'm going to grab the back set of stitches, or there'll be stitches 3 and 4. We're going to manually bring them to the front, but in order to do so, I have to let go of all of these first. We're going to replace the first set of stitches on the left needle. See, now we have 1 set on 1 or 2 needles, and this is easily crossed into the front. We put everything back. And now I would knit across all 4. Okay, let's try that. So what if we were doing, let's try another right cross. What if we were doing 3 over 3 RC? Let's give it a shot. So instead of working over 4 stitches, we're now going to work over 6 stitches. And side note, 6 stitches is the max that I like to do without using a cable needle just because it gets so tight. And when you're crossing these, if they are tight, that's quite all right. Once you do knit across all of them, the stitches will even out and they'll settle in and the tension will be correct. But sometimes when they're on the needle, don't worry. It'll right itself. Okay, so we're going to work over the next 6 stitches. So this is a 3 over 3 RC. We want this back set of 3 to cross in front of this first set of 3, because RC, we want those to go in the front in the right direction. So just like the 2 over 2, we're doing 3 over 3. So I'm grabbing the back 3 stitches. Now I'm taking my left needle slowly and carefully out of all 6, and I quickly just pick up those front 3 stitches that are kind of floating, and now I'm able to cross that back set in front of the first set, and it's in front in a right leaning direction. Put everything back on the left needle, and this one is much tighter just because we're dealing with more stitches. 1, and I'm going to knit across all 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so that is a 3 over 3 right cross. Okay, so let's try some left crosses. So now we know that for a right cross, the back set of stitches, because I want you to look at this in 2 parts. This back set of stitches is going in front of the first set to give you a right cross. But if you are doing, let's go back to the beginning, 2 over 2 with an LC, left cross. Let's try left cross. So that means we're working over these next 4. We want this first set to cross to the left in front of this. A left cross looks like this. This first group of stitches is crossing in front of the back group of stitches to give you a left cross. So that means and when we're cable knitting without a cable needle, we want to ask ourselves, what is that second group of stitches going to do? Because that is the first step. We're picking the second group of stitches. If I wanted to pick up this group from the front, this can give me a right cross like we just did. So this time we're going to pick this second group of stitches from the back. Okay, so those are secure, kind of the same concept. We're just, this is in the back this time. I want to take my left needle out of all 4. We're going to pick up those first set that's just kind of hanging out. I want to cross it, make the cross, and then put the other stitches back on. So now we have 4 stitches back on the left needle, but this time they're alternating differently than the right cross, and we get a left cross. And just like before, now that the twist is in place, we already got that part out of the way, I can just knit across all 4 stitches. And the first group is now, it's leaning to the left. And those stitches, the second group of stitches, which was stitch 3 and 4, those went in the back, and we knit those first. So you really are, when you're not using a cable needle, you're just manually reordering the stitches before you knit at all. Yeah, before you do any knitting, we're changing the order of the stitches. Okay, let's try a 3 over 3 LC, 3 over 3 left cross. So we want to take the back, that means these back set of stitches need to go in the back of the first set, because we want this first set to be in the front. So this has to go in the back. We'll grab 3 stitches from the back. Replace the first set of stitches. My yarn's starting to get a little worn. Come on. Hold on. I can't look through the camera for this. There we go. Back on the left needle. We're manually placing the twist. Now put the second set of 3 stitches, also back on the left needle. We got all 6 stitches for this combo on the left needle. The 3 are crossing in front now, and we knit across all 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's the cross for a 3 over 3 LC. Okay, I hope you're following along. I hope that is making sense. Let me set up one more time. Really, it depends. You really just have to break it down a little bit and decide which stitches are going in the front, which stitches are going in the back, because a cable set is made up of 2 parts. You'll never have a cable where there's 3 separate parts. That's with staggered designs, or like you're trying to do a braid. Those are done on different rows to make the illusion, but it won't be 3 all in this, 3 different sets all in the same row. It's only 2 at a time. I'm gonna say this one more time. Left cross. These, if we're doing, let's talk 4 stitches again. 2 over 2. If we wanted these front ones to go to the left, I would then pick up these back 2, so this would be free in the front. But if we want to do a right cross, we want the back 2 stitches to cross in the front of these. So we're going to pick them up from the front and let the other set of stitches fall to the back. So either way, you are either, you're only picking the second group of stitches either from the back or you're picking them from the front, and that will determine which way the set is leaning. And let me go over a few variations. I know I repeated myself a lot, but hopefully if you get a clearer picture. So just, I say you can't really call in half. Sometimes there's 2 over 2. We did 3 over 3. What about like a 2 over 1 RC? Okay, right cross. 2 over 1. So it's not like, so that means we are dealing with 3 stitches total. Okay, we know so we're dealing with these next 3, and we know a right cross, the second group of stitches is going to be going into the front. So this is 2 stitches over 1. So we know the second group of stitches is the 2, because we're crossing those over the 1 stitch. So this is just a variation. Cable knitting comes in so many different combinations and counts of stitches. Okay, so we got that in the front, and I only have 1 here because it's 2 stitches crossing over 1. I would make the cross. See, now these 2 stitches are in the front, leaning to the right. Place them back on the left needle. I got my 3 stitches here. The cross is already in place, and now I knit over across all 3. All right, so let's see, if you're knitting, okay, and then I've been doing like this for a long time, so it kind of is, it comes quick to me when I knit, but really you can sit and look at the pattern. Am I crossing to the left or am I crossing to the right? And just practice will kind of train your brain to approach looking at it differently. So I want to do a 2 over 2 right cross. All right, I know that's the back. Okay, I knit across all 4, 1, and it'll come much smoother with practice. Okay, so that was a left cross, sorry, 2, okay, I did a left cross. So now let's do a right cross. So the second group will go in the front. This is opposite, and you see these stitches can float around for a little bit. It's not so scary, like when they're not on a needle. It's a short amount of time. Okay, so this is a right cross now. All right, and like I said, 3 over 3, 2 over 2, 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 1 over 2. There's so many different combinations. But if you keep practicing, it'll become more natural. When you look at a pattern in your hand, it'll be muscle memory. You'll know what to do. I'm going to grab those from the back. I'm going to grab those from the front. But you just want to make sure that you are always picking the second group of stitches. Unlike using a cable needle where we generally work with the first set of stitches. And we would either, so if I'm doing a 2/2, if I had a cable needle, I would either drop that to the front or drop it to the back and then continue with these two, but it's opposite with no cable needle. You work with the back stitches first when you're picking with the right needle. Okay, I hope that was a clear explanation. I apologize if I was very redundant. I was just trying to be thorough, but please practice, practice, practice. If you get this skill, really, it's one of my favorites. It makes your knitting go so much quicker. You don't have to lose the cable needle, which I've lost quite a few over the years, but it's just a little smoother and a little more less fuss. All right. Well, happy knitting, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Bye.